Yes, I'm the founder of two diabetics, those foundations in the state of Florida. The first one is the Diabetes Awareness Alliance Diabetes Awareness Foundation of MD35.org, of course, and that is a full foundation. And the second one, that was from our first grant 14 years ago. And the second one is the Florida Alliance Diabetic Retinopathy Foundation, which is 5 years old, actually coming up on 6. And now I'm the executive director of both. So, and we have full boards, and they both are full entities of our multiple districts. Second slide. Okay, we received a Site First grant, and it was the first one in the U.S. 5.5, 6 years ago. It took 2.5 years to write it. It was a very complex for a pilot study of screening on diabetics and pre-diabetics and diabetic retinopathy. We were using a camera back then. It was called Center View, that did not require dilation with drops. And we had a retina specialist who is still my medical director, Shalise Caso. He's both an MD and a PhD. He reads every single image for us, referrals for all positive readings. He sends me the reports back, and they get a little postcard that I was going to show you, and I think it's later on in this presentation, that says you require further testing. And some of them, patients will call us back, and or clients, whatever, will call us back and ask us to forward the report and the images to their eye doctors. If it's one that is homeless or have no money for this, we will have the club that's nearest that group fill the paperwork out, and the other foundation that I'm the project chair for will get his testing and necessary. If it's a bleed, make sure he has retina surgery. So we do follow throughs. And it's everyday lines. You don't have to be a medical person to observe it, to do it. We call ourselves screeners. We're not readers. We just screen them. And we quite often, the guys call themselves picture takers. Slide 3, please.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, education ourselves and our communities on what diabetic retinopathy is all about. A lot of people realize I had the impression it was the only eye disease, but as many of you know that are diabetic and have worked with diabetes, retinopathy is only one of multiple ones. We have found as many as 36 different eye diseases with using this camera and all. We saw an increased access to diabetes retinopathy care was one of our goals, and a diagnosis. A lot of young diabetic children did not want their eyes tested because when they used the eye drops in the regular doctor's office, they couldn't see real well, and they had been told, if you don't have your diabetes under control, you either got scared with kidney or you got scared with going blind or losing your toes. And having a type 1 diabetic sister myself, she was always scared of the blindness, which she did have. But more than anything, we were able to screen 750 children. We go through the Florida diabetic camps, and that they had one of our cameras up until about 2 months ago. Because of the COVID, we pulled it back because we were changing the software. But they use the camera at the camp, and they use the camera in their clinic. And so they've done some great studies, and it's about to be published. And I will send Brian a copy of the article that shows a poor correlation between the A1Cs and the diabetic retinopathy is what their data shows, and the same thing we did when we did a couple of their little studies. Next slide, please.
Okay.
This is the DRS camera. This is one of my operators. This is actually the mom that comes and helps me because she speaks 6 languages, because down in the Miami area, it's a lot harder for us because they are from all over the world. And this is at the Chilean embassy that we were doing this one. And as you can see, where the chin rest is and the head rest, the patient sits. This is one of the reasons we're not screening right now. They're too close to us, even with a mask on. And you do the left eye, and then it goes over and does the right eye. Grant, it isn't just the LCIF staff voting on it. It is NIH. It's WHO. It's a whole conglomerate of outside medical expertise that vote on your grants of that type. So that was what was exciting about it, because he stood up and said, if they can't do it, nobody can. So anyway, the other was a picture of the screen, and it showed the images, how they appeared to us. And then At that point, we would send it by Wi-Fi to Dr. Caso. It would ding in his off or wherever he was, and he would read them usually within that day, a day or two. And then he would send them back to me, and then I would do all the communication to the patients. Retinopathy screening, this is what the report looks like. It's small, I know. See if you can enlarge it at all.
I don't think I can.
Okay, basically
Yeah.
what the first one is diabetic retinopathy, of course, left and right. And the other is hypertensive retinopathy. And one of the things we found is a large volume of drusen, which is earlier macular degeneration and all. We saw probably it's like 45, 50% of the patients had some of that, even the very, very young ones, which really surprised Dr. Caso. He said he'd never seen it in that many young people before. Go to the next slide, please. See if there's something on 8.
Retinopathy screening results.
Right.
Diabetic. Okay.
Okay. This is a blown up picture of it. I knew I had it in there somewhere. And it just shows what it would say and how many hemorrhages and how many quadrants and all. And this is a severe one, so that would be considered. I would get a hold of the person who had conducted the screening, and I would give him the patient's phone number to contact the patient. That especially with one like this, that he would put down at the very bottom, it's urgent. This patient be seen immediately. He would either go to an emergency room, or he would go to a doctor he could get in immediately. If it's near one of my retina specialists in Florida, I would call them and say, could you see somebody by tomorrow? Because we've got an active bleed going on in left or right eye, whatever. And some of the diabetic maculopathy, where it looks more swollen and the whole area looks kind of rough. Anyway, the next one, 9, is
Okay.
the picture of this, and it shows the white is the optic nerve, by the way, that goes to the brain, and that shows all the vessels and all. All these pictures are right off the camera, by the way. These are all non-dilated pictures. And Shalice said they're almost textbook classic pictures. He was quite pleased with them. But this is a really, really good one. This one you can see, and you may not be able to because you're on Zoom. All these little dots on there, and if the dot is a kind of a grayish or a deep red, more like an old bruise kind of color, that is old diabetic retinopathy, or ones that is a process of healing. If it's bright red, like an active bleed red, it is bright red. And those are the ones that you need to get them in right away. If it's old, they just need to get under treatment for whether if their diabetes is out of control or something else is going on. But this is really, really important. By the way, that black spot in the middle is the macular area, and all that's where your field of vision comes out of. The other one, number 10, is a better picture. This is what the pictures. This is a beautiful picture. And some of them you see the veins crossing and all. That basically is hypertension. In fact, one of the reasons we started adding high blood pressure readings to our protocol was how many of these we've seen. And then Shalice would read back that this patient had hypertension. He said, and I would like you guys to start taking blood pressure. And it's amazing how many people, and I think anybody that's done any screening knows, people aren't aware of high blood pressure unless it's really, really, really high. I had one in the clinic before we shut down a month ago that was so high that it was 240 over 110, and the patient was only 27 years old. And he had a bleed through his whole eye. His eyes were a real mess, which made it worse as he's an alcoholic and he was in rehab. So it's a little harder to get them care, but they always listen to us when he said we need to see this patient in the lab right like now and all. Okay, this next picture is not ours, but I want to show you this is a prolific in all 4 quadrants. This is a yellowed picture, and that's one thing with this DRS, you can change the background colors in that. I like the red, but anyway, but this is prolific. For those who have never seen the diabetic retinopathy, this is the bright red I was telling you about, and you can see some of the more faded ones. They're kind of blurry looking. Those are ones that are healing. Diabetic retinopathy does heal if all the things that cause it are under control. they can come back a year later. They'll come back sometimes to be rescreened again, and it's just about gone. You may see a little bit of residual there, but they look so much better. We had a person up in the boondocks, I should be careful, up in the Panhandle, that it's car festival they do, and I went up there until 2 years ago, and we did. One of these gentlemen came in, he was a vendor, and I tested him, and his eyes were a real mess. I don't know how he drove, truthfully, but anyway, he comes back the next year and he says to me, "You don't recognize me, do you?" And I think, "No, I've done about 400 or 500 of these." No. And he said, "You're the lady that sent me to the emergency room." And he said, "Don't my pictures look great? My blood sugar is now normal." He got his blood sugar under control, and his eyes look so good. It made me feel so good that we had saved someone's vision and all. And that's what we do when we do this work. Types of eye conditions, these are the most common ones. Are you at picture 12?
Types of eye conditions, yes.
Okay. There's diabetic retinopathy, of course, and macular degeneration, retinal artery and vein occlusion. In fact, 2 of our own lions, we found this because before we allowed you to screen, we screened them so they knew what to tell the patient to expect when the camera was one moving, and the second thing is where to look for the light and all that. The microaneurysm, we found 3 of those, and all were taken care of. Hypertensive retinopathy is very common. Glaucoma, I was surprised we could tell it, but the veins look like little sausages with that one. And the macular hole, that is a lot more common than I thought it would be. We had one that was so big that it looked like it was the lower third of the retina was covered with that macular hole. And of course, all those patients, we get into a retina specialist and get them taken care of. You can't just screen and do nothing about it. It's very imperative that LCIF was adamant about that. And you don't leave the patients hanging out there. The results, this is our first 5 years of our diabetic retinopathy results. Actually, we're up to 60,000 screenings. This, as he saw from the name of the PowerPoint 2020, this is an older, I didn't update, but this is the one I said, Brian, that I need to update. But it's 60 now, about 60, 65. Our referral rate's still about 43 to 49% of the time. Non-diabetics, that was the other thing. We got the protocol changed. The original protocol said that we could only screen diabetics, pre-diabetics, or someone with a A1C above 6.0. That's not me. That's LCIF, and with a high blood sugar above normal. Well, as it worked out, as we were doing this, and we're sitting there, we had all these people standing there that we had just done blood sugars on. And I said, "Can we have the camera too? Can we have the camera too?" So we started doing more people, and I asked permission to add to my protocol anybody that wanted to be screened. And that's where we found a lot of people that didn't know they were diabetic and also had no idea what an A1C even was. A lot different now, I noticed, when we started screening again. We have 8 cameras. We started out proving 4. And they gave us, as I was able to save quite a bit of money by negotiating with Centerview, who is now IPAX, by the way. I was able to buy a total of 8. We average screening is less than 5 minutes, and it takes about 10 minutes when we include blood glucose screening too, because we like to do both together because it just makes it a more complete study. We have lines through the MD. I have 1,200 lions trained through the MD to screen. But big thing on this is that we are just starting to recertify before the COVID virus shut us down. Again, we started up in June when the numbers dropped to 4.5 here in the state, but the minute it went to above 9, we closed back down again about 3 weeks afterwards. We'd already retrain my trainers and 60 other recertifications. We recertify every 6 months to make sure everybody's still doing the same right thing.
Norma, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you say you have 1,000 lions trained to do the screenings?
Yes.
Wow.
All over the state in the Bahamas.
Okay.
Remember the Bahamas, you don't know, but Bahamas are part of Florida.
Okay.
And now diabetes, I got 10,000, so I got a lot more diabetics.
Okay.
I do retina.
Okay,
Screening almost every.
I'm still on the
Go ahead.
slide diabetic retinopathy screening results.
Yeah, right. I'm going down. Screening is almost every week. This is pre-shutdown. We were screening, and we had all 8 cameras working almost all the time. It was rare that we weren't screening. And District I screening group, that our district is LION, our multiple district, liked the camera so much that their site group bought one so they could screen on their own. But they're covered by us, so that I do the troubleshooting for them, and I update the software and all those things. I babysit it for them, but they came under our numbers, so they were able to get the better price, and we share the warranty and all that kind of thing. So there's quite a bit involved in the cameras. All righty, 14, right? 14.
Summary.
Yeah, right. It's a critical part of the early detection of diabetes. I can't emphasize this enough. I am part of the LCIF/LCI focus group on diabetic when it was going to be introduced as one of the major projects. Happy to say it was interesting because they were from all over the world. I was the only person from the States. And what was interesting in it was their attitude in some of the countries, like in Denmark, their attitude in Iceland, was that we're not going to look for diabetics. We're going to wait for them to come to us with symptoms. I just croaked at that one. I was horrified. Then, of course, we had to change our logo on the diabetic, not our logo, but the logo on the diabetic program, because the Indians didn't like it red, or the Japanese. They didn't like the finger being stick and showing blood, so we had to change it. So we went to the worldwide one with the hands. So that was kind of interesting. The biggest thing we found is if you're doing the glucose screening, it really wakes them up, and 90% of the patients will say, oh, yes, I want my eye screened because you're not going to put drops in. They love the fact, and we're able to get 90% of the patients. And what's important in this is the only ones we can't get are some of our drug addicts, because we work with a lot of the homeless and we work with a lot of the shelters. And the methadone is almost as bad as the other drugs, but makes the pupil so constricted that you can't get through it. And the other one is a heavy-duty cataracts. You can't get through a heavy-duty cataracts. But the good news is they got a new DRS. It's called the Plus, that can get through that. And I saw it, and it's only 41 pounds versus the one, and it's a lot more adjustable. And the pictures from it, because it's a fungus camera, is so much better. And it's I'm looking to trade one of mine in and try to get it and all. Sorry, I just asked one of my doctors to call me back. And to prevent blindness was our major goal, and that's what our whole logo is, marching to prevent diabetic blindness. And this is just a picture. How can you help raise awareness? Is a big one, because right now we can't screen because of our numbers being high. But if somebody's going out to do anything, get your flyers out. And we've got a bunch of things on our website you're more than welcome to use. Nothing is proprietary. My manual is, and we just put a new manual up there, and we did a recertification manual. Just give us credit for it, because there's about 4 of us that work on that now. I wrote the original Force 5, but now I think we're up to version 12 or 13. We update it on a regular basis. Host a glucose screening when we can do this again. We talk about the budget, of course, because you got to have the funding, because you have to pay for warranties yearly, because they take care of anything that goes wrong with the camera, which is a real blessing, because sometimes the motherboard will go. We've not had, even though we're hauling the camera from site to site because our screenings are in the field, we've never had a camera hurt because of that, because it sits in the back seat with a seat belt on it, just like a kid and all. And the next one, 16, is just our logo, Alliance Conquering Blindness. That's our little pin and all, and that's the logo that you can't see on my shirt and all. And what's nice about it is that I'm not looking for money from you guys, but this is all part of the thing. And then we did this really cute shirt. These shirts sell like hotcakes. We've sold over 2,000 shirts. And one of my, this lady that was president of it is an OD right now. And she said, I want to make a shirt. I want to show something. And so we did the cute shirt. And the last one is that's just our diabetes website. That's the foundation. Diabetic. The first one, FLDR. That's the retina, and the lower one is the diabetes awareness. We couldn't get our initials on that one because we did. That was 14 years ago, and that's what bothers me about Zoom, because I've been using Zoom for 14 years and all of a sudden it decides not to work. Questions?
Okay, let me open it up for questions here. Okay, questions for anybody, for Norma about her program. She's got an amazing program. I think it's.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question would be, what's the cost per unit and what's the warranty or maintenance fees?
The warranty is, I'm thinking because it's changed for us because of the fact that we put it on hold when we weren't using the cameras. It's $3,000 a year, but that's full maintenance. That includes all the shipping, because if you send a 51-pound camera back, it's expensive. And the box that comes and goes in is expensive. So that we worked out, because we had one camera that was not in warranty by accident. It was the other site groups. And they allowed us to buy it before we shipped it back to them, thank God, because it would have cost us almost $600 just to ship the camera. So that gives us warranty. It gives us troubleshooting with them, anything we need. Most of the troubleshooting is when they would be changing software and things like that. They upgrade the software on a regular basis. But
Now,
I'm really excited to get one of the new ones. Okay.
Did you say 300 or 3,000 per year?
3,000
Per camera?
No, I think that's wrong. I'll get back and give Brian the right number. What it is, it's been 2 years since we bought it because of the virus. Let me go back and look, because I know it's a lot less coming up right now. It's like $1,500 right now, because we were just turning it back on because we were just going back out, and we just put a stop to everything. And so I asked Centerview, would you give us a break on it? And they said yes. But I will find out for sure and get back to you. I'll get back to Brian. Brian, would you take care of whoever is asking the question?
Yes. Yeah, it's line
Thank
Tony.
you.
Yeah, okay. Now, the cost per unit is how much?
Well, it varies a lot, but right now it's about 14,000.
Okay. Okay, 3,000, that's it's almost 20% for maintenance per year. Wow.
And
But
what
it's
about
worth it
insurance?
because
Insurance? What about
our
insurance?
insurance is covered by LCIF.
Okay. I have a question. Now, have you done how long you been using the Centerview cameras?
6 years.
6 years. Okay. And are there any other cameras companies that produce cameras like this?
Yes, but their software wasn't as good. There's two parts of this. It's the hardware, the camera itself, the software, which is critical. In fact, I was going to mention this. Thank you for reminding me. Right now, we just changed software vendors. EKN is no longer doing the software. It is now IPAX, and it came out of Santa Cruz, California, you guys. It's in your backyard. And Dr. George, as Alliance Foundation, donates the software to us. We don't have to pay for the software at all. We used to have to pay. That's where the $3,000 is. It's for all our software on all our cameras a year. I'm going to have to get the other price of what the warranty is, and I apologize for not having it. I didn't think about it. But anyway, let me quickly tell you about this. This software is like a mature version of the EKN software, where the database is all right there, where if you're doing the blood sugars like we are, you can put all of that in. And when the doctor goes to read it, whoever your retina specialist is that reads it, all the data is there. So he even has a better look at it. Dr. Calder was reading these blindly, not knowing who was diabetic and who wasn't. And what's better on this is that when you say, I want to know how many patients Lakeland did, I could print that out on itself. It does all these little reports for you. I have only used it for a short time because it came in January, and we didn't start operating again until June and all. So we've had only a short run with it, but I love the new software. And the pictures are a little quicker, and the pictures are even clearer. They're really, really, really well done. And in fact, like that was a doctor that was just calling me. He wanted to talk to me about one of the pictures that was from a clinic a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
And,
Norma, I have another, I'm sorry to interrupt. Are these
ahead.
HIPAA certified compliant?
Yeah,
HIPAA? Okay,
that's why I had trouble with my Wi-Fi, because I've got so many firewalls on here.
okay, okay,
And they
Uh,
do too. It's encrypted. It's encrypted.
okay. Um,
And right now, they don't use Wi-Fi with them anymore. They use a USB. Whoever your administrator is plugs it in and can download them all, and all the beautiful pictures. And then you got the database that comes right underneath it, and also it really it's a lot easier using a USB port than it is using Wi-Fi,
right.
especially when you're working in the field.
Okay. Does the screeners need any type of accreditation, like certification? How do you certify your screeners? I think you
Okay,
mentioned
for
it.
diabetes is different, but for retina, they had to do 10 pictures with us standing there, and they had to do, and then they have to do 10 pictures by themselves, but with us still looking at them, and then they have to do 10 more pictures that they've got a 90% correct image taking, and they're not sending black pictures and lopsided pictures and things like that.
And the
We
screeners are,
certify them.
yeah, and the screeners are not diagnosing these images. They're
No,
just forwarded.
absolutely not.
They're just
That's
forwarded
against the
on
law.
to,
No.
yeah. So what does a
Oh.
screener say once you take the photograph? What does the screener say to the patient?
I got the pictures. Someone will be contacting you. In the past, I sent a postcard to everybody, whether it was normal or abnormal. And what I'm trying to do now to cut down on how much work I'm doing is only send the abnormal ones out. And I said, if you have an abnormal, should your doctor want to see this? Because one of the questions we ask in our intake form is, do you have your own doctor? We were worried that we had people thinking we're going to tick off ODs and MDs and everything else. Instead, they come in and ask us to screen in their hospitals and in their clinics and all. So, no, we've been very careful that we don't try to send somebody to if they got a doctor, that's who they go back to.
Okay,
But they
I
can
got
get
this.
a copy of their images.
Okay, I got this question from another Lions who's not here today. Is there any state or federal law that says we can do this or we cannot do this?
No, we checked.
Okay,
LCIF made me check.
okay,
In fact, because we're only screening, it's a whole different story. We're not drawing blood. We're not sticking fingers. We're not doing anything but having them sit down. And in fact, most places that have someone doing this a lot of places use this DRS camera, the same one, by the way. Walmart does, and Eyeglass World, I think their name is, uses it. A lot of the places use it. And what's funny about it is that this is run by usually the clerk out front, and also no, anybody could do it. And it's easy. It really is easy. I'm a pain in the butt because I want the pictures to be good. If a doctor's going to take his time to read them for free for us, our doctors don't charge us. I want to absolutely make sure that they're good pictures. I don't want pictures that are either lopsided or there's not enough of the optic nerve in there and things like that. I want good pictures. And that means positioning the patient correctly in the chair.
okay. I have another question. So when these pictures are taken, they have to be in a dark room.
No,
How they
not
don't?
anymore. Not
Okay.
anymore. No, in fact, it's not a light room, but like where I'm sitting right now wouldn't work because I got 9 windows in this one little area. What we do is we shut the lights off in the room. We can even leave the door open and all, but no, it doesn't. It had to be in the very beginning, but not anymore with the new software or the software that changed about 2 years ago. We haven't had to. They gave us a hood in the beginning and all, but we don't even need that anymore. We haven't needed that in about 2.5 years.
Do you do outdoor events or is it required to be indoors?
Yeah, we do outdoor. We have a black tent. We have a tent that we can, white tent we can with sides that we can put a tarp on it, tarp over it to dark. Remember, I live in Florida. Put a tarp over it. Pacifica, you could do these real easy in because there's always foggy there. But anyway, long story short, I'd say 50% of our outside, except this time of year, it's a little hot.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the group?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Um,
Victor?
Yes. Hi, Norma.
Hi.
Um, Question, is there any other states in the United States doing this?
Yeah, when Wisconsin is, and I think Ohio is looking at it. If they may have been doing it, except for the virus, because of the virus, a lot of the people that were getting ready to get started stopped because I had spent some time on Zoom, believe it or not, and we had a bunch of other people looking at it. There is about 8 or 9 lion groups that I know are doing it, but right now everybody's on hold because everybody's numbers are off the wall and all. And I expect what it is, you have to kind of build the enthusiasm back after you take something away. We lost a bunch of lions when we first had to take things away. Well, that and a lot of them didn't like Zoom. The thing is that it's been really, really tough because what we've been doing is educational services on our monthly Zoom meeting because there's nothing to discuss about our retina work. So, no, we've been doing educational eyes, different eye kind of things, cross-linking and corneas and things like that. So we've just been trying to keep our group busy so that they're excited. They were so excited that fact that in 3 weeks that we trained 6 screeners to get up and going again, and they had 14 things set up for the month that we had to shut down August. We just shut down 14 screening events.
Oh, I see. Secondly, Norma, is LCIF pushing these programs to all the states, and will they provide funding?
I expect you would have to go through the grant process like I did. I don't see a problem with that. They were thrilled with the results. In fact, I hear from them periodically. They changed a lot of the staffing around, and now that no one's in the office, it's hard sometimes to get a hold of somebody. You got to kind of leave a bunch of messages. But yes, they really like it. And what is our new president was on part of that focus group too. In fact, he was sitting next to me, and I didn't realize until I was watching the convention that was him, and because nobody had name tags in English, and it was really weird. But anyway, long story short was that he was in and out of that meeting. And a lot of the LCIF staff, Dr. Sheen, Mr. Sheen, First Vice President Sheen, and Patty Hill told me to make pretty brochures, so we did, and things like that, that they've all been very pleased with the project. And I don't see LCIF holding back because I noticed they have the categories still there and all. And it's a lot of work to put it together. It went from abstract, you do an abstract, and then then it was 180 pages because you have to, especially in the state of California, this would be very difficult. But it has to be a multiple district. You can't do it as one little area. Although you may get away with it because your district is your area is so big out there. But you have to do the poverty rates and all those things. And we had a little hiccup last year when I went to upgrade this because I wanted to amend it to buy one of the new cameras and all. And I noticed our governor removed all those stats. So I have to find out a way to get those stats on poverty levels and education and race and all that kind of thing. That all goes into it. Read that new paper they put out, that new booklet they put out on doing grants. And the Site First grant is probably the most complicated of them all. What's nice is it's no matching funds. They provide all the money for you.
Thank you, Norma. You're an amazing person. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
thank you.
Norma,
I'm sorry
so-
about the PowerPoint tonight. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize for the technical problems. So have you been a mentor to other states for your program? Have other
Yeah.
states have asked you, hey, take a step by step?
Yeah, I'm on a couple of their boards. Wisconsin board that I mentioned, Indiana board, Ohio, and Michigan, and I was talking to Alabama, which is that's what we call Pensacola, South Alabama. I was talking to them. I said, I wish instead of you guys sending them over, where we get our biggest help? It was, there's some of these regional medical groups that go out and do eyesight. They make their own glasses right there, and they do the dental work. They do, and when I brought the camera in, they thought we walked on water because it was the first time they were able to do retina pictures on all these people coming through. We did 6,000 that weekend. 6,000.
6,000 retina
we were a little
photos?
bit busy.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it was
That's
really,
amazing.
really busy, obviously. it was a big help to the eye doctors. They were so excited about it that I'll probably get invited back the rest of my life, except I don't like to go up there during the hurricane season. But anyway, yes, it's well received. And I tell you what, I looked up some of the other cameras. It's something I've heard about before. I was not pleased with the quality of the picture. When I took them to a couple of the guys that read for me, they said these were not the quality we wanted. They're okay for pass-fail, but that's about it. A lot of them did not pick up diabetic retinopathy, or the most serious one was the fact that it missed a lot of the drusen problems and the macular degeneration and all. It didn't do a good job on it. First of all, the quality of the picture isn't the same. I went through 7 companies before I chose this one, and it's software. And they've got to maintain the software. 2, they've got to have the support there for you on it. And 3, you want somebody that's updating it on a regular basis. There's nothing in computers say the same anymore. That's my personal opinion and all. But anybody wants my email address, you've got it. It's hard to get a hold of me on the phone because I do run these surgery cases for the Foundation for the Blind. And we did about 400 of those last year. So I keep myself a little bit busy, and I'm hibernating these days. But no, thank you for letting me come on, and I apologize that we had the hiccups and all. I don't know what's
Okay.
wrong. I was on Zoom this morning.
Yeah.